Okay, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you who are joining me now here in this digital room and also on YouTube. My name is Claudia Schreiner. I will be the moderator for today and tomorrow of the Pitch Lab of the festival Beyond Borders, taking place right at this moment on Castello Rizzo, a little island in the southeast of Greece. I'm very honored to be here and to do this moderating because I'm a very, very big friend of documentaries, and it is my job to help people all over the world to develop the project they want to do and tell the stories they want to tell. And this is also the task and the wish of the Pitch Lab of Beyond Borders. So I'm very, very happy to see you all here. We are very many people here now seeing each other, and I will try to introduce you to each other before we start the pitch, so everybody is informed about who is in this digital space. The Pitch Lab will present 10 projects, 5 today, 5 tomorrow, being selected by our jury. And I will introduce you to them. They are all postgraduate students of the Thessaloniki Film School. And if I now say your name, please, dear jury, please just raise your hand so you can be identified in your role, function, and personality. There is Dimitra, and please excuse, I will not say your last name because it's too difficult for me. Okay, Dimitra. I'm very happy to see you. You did a wonderful job as the leader of the pack, as the leader of the selection committee. Then there is Christina. There she is. Welcome. Good to see you again. Antigone. There she is. And there is the only man in the group, and that is Leonidas. Welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. You did a wonderful job, and this is the reason why we are here now. The projects that have been selected for this Pitch Lab are all in an early stage of development. And that's good because it is also the motive and the theme of this Pitch Lab, from idea to project. So you may not expect to see finished projects. You will hear and listen to ideas, some more developed, some less developed. And what they all need is now to take the next step towards further development. And that is find the focus of the story, develop the narrative arc, and then write the treatment. This is what needed to do a professional pitch, at which end sometimes there is the hope to be and take part in a festival as Beyond Borders. To all our pitchers, I cross my fingers and wish you all the best that you will someday be there and reach this goal. The projects selected come from very many countries. They not only come from Greece, they come from Italy, from Romania, from Germany, from Kazakhstan, and from Iran. So it's a large diversity of countries, it's a large diversity of people, and it's a large diversity of themes that you will be presented to. In order to give this little push towards a further development, we invited 10 experts from all over the world to be with us and give their comments, their feedback, put up questions, help with their networking, everything that can be of value for the young filmmakers that come from film schools, are first-time directors, and need definitely support. This is the aim of the Pitch Lab. And I'm glad we all came together today and will come together tomorrow to help them. I would like to present to you, to introduce you to the experts that we invited. So please also, would you raise shortly your hand to identify yourself so that everybody knows who is with us. There is Peter from ZDF. He is he's leading the Department of History and Science at one of the big public broadcasters of Germany. I'm very glad to see you again. It has been indeed, yes, I see you waving. It has been a long time since we saw last, and I must tell you, you did not change either. Okay, so very, very good to know that. There's Jean-Christophe from Phoenix. He is heading the Department of Documentaries. Hi, Jean-Christophe. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where's your hand waving? There you are. Claudia from Arte. I'm very glad that you made it possible to come on this shorthand notice and be with us. And there is Marcus. Marcus from RAI, the public broadcaster of Italy. We do have Tijana Dukic. Thank you for your presence too, Tijana. I just asked you yesterday and you made it possible. Thank you very much. She is responsible for sales and acquisitions at Limonero Films. Is that right? Spoken Limonero Films based in London. We have Dane from Canada. Is she with us? There you are. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. She is a producer and has a lot of experience with international co-productions. And there's Marco. He is from Greece. There is Marco. He's from Greece and also experienced in international co-productions. Very welcome. And then we have representatives from the film schools Beyond Borders is working with. This is Veronika from the Documentary Institute in Prague. We have Uri from the Tel Aviv University. There you are. And Georgios from the Université de Thessaly. Is that Thessaloniki? No, Thessaly. Where is that? Michelle, can you help me? No, okay. I'm very glad you are, yes, it's Greece. Yes, I see it's Greece. So thank you very much that you join us and that you give and share with us your expertise and advice. Having said this, I think from my part, I gave you as much information as I could for now. If you have any question, let me now know that I can help you with, or Stefanos. No question. Stefanos, whom you already see and you talk to, will help me with the time management. And I forgot, Michelle, please forgive me, I forgot to introduce you as the artistic advisor and director of international development. Please wave your head. Everybody knows you, huh? Well, okay. So having said this, I think we can start with the pitch. You all have the schedule. Are you nervous? No, you all smile, so I know everything is fine. Perfect. And we will start with our first pitch. It's Nina from Greece. She will present us her idea for a project and a film, Chefs for Zero Hunger. Nina, are you ready?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Good. Then it's your floor.
Thank you. My name is Nina Fotiadou. I'm from Thessaloniki, Greece. Let me start by saying thank you for this opportunity. It's very, very big for us. Well, my documentary is about a group of people, a citizens movement, if you may, who, even they didn't know each other at first, took over a bad situation and transformed it into a regenerating experience for them, as well as the people in need. Chefs for Zero Hunger is a group of people from Thessaloniki, Greece, my hometown, who come from the food and beverage sector, that teamed up and started cooking fresh food for anyone in need in the midst of the first pandemic lockdown in 2020, and continue to do so until today. One of them started an action, many responded, even they didn't know him. It was via social media. And then some more responded to his next call. And now 2 years later, they are an independent and self-managed group. They have nothing to do with any political, social, governmental institution or the church. They are not an NGO or have any financial dependence other than their own money and services. It is a story about people that managed to become, through all this, friends, like a family, and found their true selves in the light of voluntarism and solidarity. Meanwhile, we watch part of the stories of those in need and the transformative power of this movement of chefs. Concurrently, through the actions of those groups, the serious social and economic problems that emerged from COVID-19 and all those continued lockdowns, especially in Greece, are being demonstrated and underlined since they are much present in Greece still. The whole project is an expanding and extrovert situation, and at the end of the day, all these people, both sides, they change and transform and reshape. Some of the mottos of the members of the group are a random act of kindness per day by anybody can change the world, says Androcles. When you help somebody without expecting anything in return, that for me is a human being, says Elsa, a pastry chef. And the basic one, no one alone, no one hungry. That is the motto of the group, and that sums up the whole idea. They transformed from a group of strangers to a group of friends, a family, if you will, and all this evolved them as human beings. They began aiming to give, but then they realized that giving away with love makes you whole. You gain without expecting that. You gain as a human being and as a person. That is my story. If you like, I can say about the submissions I'm about to make. I want to submit it to the National Film Center and ERT-TV, the national broadcaster, specifically to ERT-TV, ERT3 TV, which is based in Thessaloniki, Greece, so maybe they could be more immersed to my project. This is as far as the submissions. And
okay, Nina, it's okay. You did your pitch perfect, and there will be a lot perfect. Well done, very well done from my hand and from all of us. A little applause, because it's always hard to start. So you did a good job. Everything okay. And you will have a lot of questions and a lot of comments, and you will learn from that. So we are going for that now. Okay. it would be my wish and the ideal situation if everybody of our experts could come out with a comment, with a question, with a feedback. But I would like to start with Marcus from RAI.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, well done. Very interesting story about people in a difficult situation who make the best out of it and use their talent to regain momentum and to get out of a very difficult situation. I think that is a topic that is very interesting. I think it is very important for you and for the people who eventually want to work with you to understand better who the characters are and what the story will really provide. So where does it start? What kind of action will you film and show, with whom? What kind of characteristics do these people have? And where does it lead to? And I mean, this should be big as possible in a way. So important in a way and special, because if you want to make it a universal story, I think then it's very important that people outside Greece even can identify with this story and relate to it and enjoy it. I think these kind of stories are very important because we need to be resilient. We need to get out of a very sad situation. And therefore, I would encourage you to work on this project in that direction. So well done. But I think that there's a need to do further research and then to concretize characters and story.
Thank you, Marcus. Marco, as a producer from Greece, what chances and what chances you give to this project, and what advice would you have from the view as a producer?
It's a great topic, and I think it's very original in the way you could tell this story. But of course, and I think the point is to make interest even the story universal and to have an interest abroad, because in a way, in Greece they want to forget a bit about crisis. Crisis in Greece is now for more than 10 years, because when we stopped the crisis, arrived the COVID, and when we get a bit quieter with the COVID, arrived the war in Ukraine, which is quite close from here. So the audience and maybe the TV channels are a bit fed up of this kind of things. But so because you have, but the topic is still very, very, very present. And so this, because of the chef, I think it's something we could interest and have a larger audience and be very original. I would advise you to, to think a bit more about the film too, because there is a stadium in between the topics and the story. The stadium. What is this film really about? What interests me in these topics, and what can I bring? What's the other people? What only me I can bring in this story? It's this. It's available for all the documentaries and for the documentaries we make, us as let's say experiment people, is to question ourselves: what is the story really about? Because on this depends which point of view you will choose, which focus you will make on the story. See, it's a kind of dialectic between focus and essence of your story. And this, of course, is questioning the reality, questioning your possible characters, but questioning yourself very much in relation with reality. What interests me really in this story? And if you find really your point of view, your focus on the story, you will have better chance to interest the audience.
Let me just precisely ask you, Yorgos, at which point would you recommend her to look for a producer? Did you hear me?
Who was the question? For me?
Yeah. I wanted to know, just to know, because she's
okay.
because she's without producer and in an early stage. When would you recommend her to look?
I would clarify a bit my point of view, what I call the core. What's my focus on this? I would clarify a bit more this thing, but she's not far from that. She's not far from that.
Okay. Very good. Okay. I would love to have the opinion of Peter as to the international potential. Germany, biggest market.
Yeah. I would like to refer to my colleague from Italy. It's always already in early stage a good idea to depict the characters a little bit more precisely. What are the protagonists in your film who, in an ideal way, represent the message of your film? If you do not have them personally already now, then you also could write, my best character would be someone who, so that the TV station or the production company where you're pitching it already has an idea how you as a filmmaker would see the film in the most perfect way to transmit your message. So this is what I would recommend you after I have heard the principal idea that you have. And that idea is a very current one, a very relevant one. And therefore, I advise you to stick to that, to stay with this idea, but to make a little bit more precise, to have a more precise project that gives already a better idea to the people who you want to address their idea to.
Thank you, Peter. Jean-Christophe.
Yeah, thank you, Nina, for presenting this project. I think it can have a very great message of grassroots solidarity, and I just would like to, give you two ideas or two approaches. The one thing is that filmmaking. Sometimes films are black and white, and for documentary filmmaking, it's very interesting to have shades of gray. And one example for shades of gray in your topic is I remember that Germany also has these kind of kitchens for, I think we call it poverty kitchens or people's kitchens. And they came into the news with the refugees coming in 2015, 2016. And there were some German poor people using these kitchens, complaining that now migrants are also queuing up in these kitchens. So you can tell a story about such a kitchen, a people's kitchen, and also I think it's interesting to not just look for, oh, this is a good thing and they don't have any problems and they're just doing good. Then your film can be quite short, right? So I think you could think of your people's kitchen and the chefs for hunger, for zero hunger, to find shades of gray, to find interesting personal stories, and so I think you could start with the short documentary, and as other colleagues already said here, to first look out for your most interesting characters and personalities, the chefs amongst the people queuing up, and tell a little story about Greece, but also about society at the same time. So I think it's a good.
Very good. Yeah. I do have two other comments. Dane, yeah.
I completely agree with our RAI colleague Markus Nickel. I think that characters are key here, and the more extraordinary the characters, the more compelling I think your film will be. But I also wanted to give you a suggestion of a film that I watched many years ago. It was called Peace One Day, and it was the craziest film I've ever seen about somebody who wanted to do good in the world, about Jeremy Gilley, who decided to reinstall a day where everybody didn't shoot all over the world. And it was so insane that you wouldn't believe that he would actually manage to do it. But the film followed his endeavor. It was an extraordinary endeavor. And if you're looking for like an activist film, because it seems to me that this is where this film lies, it's kind of a funny and great inspiration.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Uri.
Yeah, my comment might seem a little cynical, but I would take advantage of the huge popularity of cooking shows and play with with that form of the celebrity of chefs and the interest of people in food in order to tell the story in a way which is engaged in a very popular form.
Good idea. Nina, you have so many comments and so many good ideas. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I feel very, very, very happy about all these. Many of them I already have. I have my protagonists already. I know I have research. I have to research more. Thank you all. I'm so very happy.
Good.
Thank you very much.
When you are happy, we are happy. Okay, so that is okay. Okay, so we come to our second pitch. It's I remember. It's from Stefano, but he seems not to be with us. Is that right, Dimos? He's not here. So we will just hop to the next one. And this is from Iran, Dear Ali. And there will be two persons presenting. That's Mehdi and Ruri. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, go on. It's your floor.
Okay.
Oh, you're very, very bad to understand. I'm sorry. The connection before was better. Mm-hmm.
Do you hear me? Okay. Mr. Kirsa just introduced himself as the director.
Excuse me, just a moment. I just have to ask, do you understand that well enough in order? No. Dimos, can we do something about it? It's a bad connection. So can you change places or come closer to the mic? I don't know, but you are not understandable. Okay.
Do you have my voice now?
Yes, this is better. This is better. So you have to be very close to the microphone, okay? Or whatever you do. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
Let me start with Ali June. I am the distributor of this project. Ali June is a 30-year-old boy or man, we should say, who lived in one of the most beautiful places in Iran, in northern Iran. He is very short. I mean, he don't have legs and very small, very small legs and hands. But it's not a problem with him. I mean, he's very self-confident. He's very powerful. He do a lot of things. He knows a lot about computers, and he do a lot of things like editing and doing PowerPoint for people. And the issue is he's a member of a family of 13, and he's the youngest one. So at this point, he wants to get married. And in order to get married, he needs to have a house. So he has decided to make a house for himself, something that even I cannot do now with the expenses in Iran. So he's making a house for himself. And the issue is that his family are against the idea because he cannot, leave. And he has to roll on his body when he wants to move on the field, in the house or outside. And and also he wants to marry one of the most beautiful girls he can find. He's talking about somebody like Angelina Jolie. So it's an interesting, very funny character. And at the moment he's building his house, and we are waiting to see if when the house finishes and if he can find the ideal person to marry. And also we have a very short video for about 1 minute, if we can share it with you.
I think we can still share it. Yes, you have
Okay,
to share.
I will try to do it.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Do you have the voice?
No, we can not hear the voice, but we can see the picture. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it was not understandable, but you had the subtitles, so we got kind of a feeling for your protagonist, which is the most important thing.
I'm sorry for this technical
it's
issue.
It's okay. I mean, it's okay. It happens like that. Don't worry. This is a very extraordinary story, and I would love to have the first comments from Tijana. Where is the potential of this story? Where would you see it as a salesperson?
Okay, thank you. And thank you for this pitch and for providing us also with you. It was very useful because now it's much more clear from what I read here. Yeah, but considering the story, I was wondering what's the story. So apparently we have a character, if you follow the Marcus path, that we need to have a really, and I totally agree. There is this three main ingredients for a good documentary today. This is a very strong character, compelling story, but also immaculate execution. So now we saw the character. I'm wondering what the story is. So I can't get like, okay, he wants to get married. He has quite unreasonable wishes, I would say, considering the whole situation. But I was a little bit confused. What is your motivation behind him? What did you find in this character, and in what sort of story you want to put him? Because I didn't find it right from the pitch and from what I saw. I don't know how I should understand, like why you choose him. Is that, you know, what is behind the whole story? Why you were impressed with him? So I'm a little bit confused. I really have loads of questions, and then to understand what the story would be. But what I can see that I saw many films on very inspirational characters who are misfits or who had some issues in life, but they achieved great things and inspire people all around the world. These films are either very, very emotional or have a great have a great humor, so they can entertain people all around the world. So if that's the case with this one, that we want to inspire people all around the world to bring nice emotion, lots of good laughs, so not mocking him or laugh at him, but just to, you know, to bring some nice moments, then I can imagine that this film can have a really good festival career. And I can reckon there are certain slots on TV for faraway places, which also is my question: how much of Iran you're gonna have there, the tradition, what does it take to be a person like he is in Iran, because we can understand it in Europe, and maybe that's why I'm confused a little bit with the whole thing. So it would be a good to give us this scope. And then I can imagine for those slots on faraway places, this film could also work internationally, even with the broadcasters. Also, it has potential for non-theatrical, for any grassroots distribution, because we obviously have a person with certain needs. But this is all because I don't understand what is his story.
I understand. So your main comment is, where is the story? Why this person?
What is his story?
Okay. This is really something.
Sorry, heavens too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would like to. I know, Claudia, Arte, you know, portrays situations. What would you say, and what would you recommend the team to do as a next step?
I think as a next step, you really have to answer the questions Tijana asked, because I think the motivation of the character is very, very important, and perhaps also in the next step to see how you will tell the story, because is this kind of, I want to marry, and will your story be his search of a wife, or is it more to show his life and how he copes with the problems he have with his family and with all his dreams? So what is the real focus, and what will be the beginning and the end of the story? I think to fix this and to tell us who we will see beyond Ali would be a nice second step.
But you would say there is a potential if they really succeed in telling the motivation and bring us nearer to his personality and why he is looking for what he is looking for.
There's no reason that there's no potential.
Good.
Yep.
Very good. This sounds positive. Marcus, would that be something for the Italian market, or could there be, you know, some interest for this personality and this project?
Maybe, yes. I loved the character when I saw him. He has something charming. And I think that's a very good condition to really get viewers empathic about him and his story, his dreams. I think it's very much about his dreams. And of course, they will clash with reality. So I also would like to know how you will handle this problem, which is a problem not only of him, but of every person in life. We all have dreams and they clash, and then we have to live with this. So I think that's a very universal situation. Recently I saw a very interesting British production from the BBC called Crypt Tales. And what was very particular in this case was that the authors themselves were people with disabilities, and they told their story. And I wonder if this, in this case, if he's also participating as an author and as a creative storyteller in telling his story. I think that would be also important in a way, and I would be interested to know more about this dimension.
Veronica from the Documentary Institute. What would you recommend?
Yeah, I can also, I agree with Diana that I was a little bit wondering what is your motivation behind it, because like I can feel it can be very like somehow even funny if we will follow he is going for wife who is really like supermodel or somebody like that. On the other hand, he can be really lovely person, and I love the mood of camera which we saw at the first part which you showed to us and was great. And also in Czech Republic we have strong Iranian production company who is really focusing on like transmitting films from Iran to Central Europe. So I can also connect you with them, which can be maybe the case. But you already said that you have a distributor on border, which is very important, of course. And I would love to hear more about, because I know that can be very hard, and like also showing what is behind like the real Iranian life for somebody who is disabled and has a trouble would be very interesting and can be really important. Really, this clash with the reality is really so common for everybody, for everybody, and can be really like border and or bridge to the other countries. So I would love to hear more. Just need to hear from you more about what is your motivation behind this, if you can tell us.
Thank you very much, Veronica. And this is also something for you as the project team. This pitch lab is not only for receiving advices, but also to make contacts. Okay. So if somebody, out of this group now says, listen, I'm interested to hear more, you should make a contact. Okay. Yes, and keep up the discussion. So, because then it's, this is one of the most biggest cornerstones of our business, that we have to network and to make contacts. Okay. So thank you very much for this pitch. I have been informed that Stefano Grossi is with us. Where are you? Can you raise your hand? There you are. Okay, Stefano, good to have you with us. So now you jump into this pitch lab, and now you immediately have to start and present, okay? Because we were waiting for you. Your project is I Remember, and we do have Leonidas from our jury to explain and give some comments why the jury decided to take this project in.
Okay.
No, Leonidas, give Leonidas the chance to talk first. Okay, Leonidas, it's yours.
Okay. We like this project because it's a true story. It's the testimony and the personal experience of an intellectual who was against the regime of Enver Hoxha and was kept in prison for 17 years. We liked a lot the mixture of personal experience and philosophical approach that is valuable for every free-thinking person. It's an excellent idea. It's an excellent idea proposed by an experienced documentarist.
Wow.
For all these reasons.
What an introduction. Yes. What an introduction. Stefano, it's your turn. Please.
I excuse my English, but it's not so good as yours. My aim with my film is to show to the Italian, and not only Italian, but European audiences, the figure of a great intellectual, because in my opinion, Fato Slubonia is one of the cyclops of the 19th century, of the 20th century, excuse me. And he's a very, very interesting person because he's at the same time a very a great intellectual and a very, very humble man, with whom it's very easy to speak and to have ideas in common, but is a man who had a great history on his back. The importance of the film, in my opinion, is not only in the figure of Fatos, but in a question about the fundamentals of democracy, because Fatos Lubonia has lived in a communist regime, and then now lives in a apparent democratic country, but with all the problems and contradictions of a modern democratic country. And at the same time in a very archaic country, because Albania has a very odd history and very odd traditions and way of living and things and way of thinking. So in my opinion, it's possible to understand the contradiction of European democracy through the story of a country very far from, apparently very far from Europe. But just in this distance, we can catch the very fundamentals of what is really democracy and what are the risks to which involves all of us if we forget these fundamentals. And Fatos Lubonia is a man who knows very well, because he's a sort of philosopher of the 18th century. From this tradition he comes, and is a very his approach is very rational. It's very strong, and in the same time open to the acceptation of contradictions that are the basis of a more general question about democracy.
Thank you.
It's difficult to explain this kind of
complex story. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stefano. Jean-Christophe, I would like to have your comment, and where do you see the potential of this idea?
Yeah, thank you, Stefano. I'm very much looking for history and political documentaries, so I was very intrigued by your character. And I think because we are beyond borders, documentary filmmakers, European filmmakers, and abroad, even here, I think it's very important that we don't pitch the films as this is a film about an Albanian artist, or about a Greek personality, or about a German. I think you would have to convince people that you have a more general story, that it's relevant on a European level, and what is the general interesting stories behind it. And I'm not an expert on Albanian history. You notice that I'm a fan of Shades of Grey, and not just about making your subject your heroes. And from what I understand, that was that Fatos' father at first was very close to the dictator. So you could try to find a more general story about a family who's very close to the dictator first and is on the streamline, then tries to look out for more freedom, so that you have a lot of breaks and you can learn something about communism, dictatorship, people getting corrupted, and try to find some general stories. So I think people would see the potential in getting a story of well, we've seen a lot in Europe, and you get a more general interest in your topic then. So thank you.
Thank you.
Marcus, there are traditional relationships between Albania and Italy. Can you say something about the chances, you know, for this project in Italy, or give advice?
Yes. Well, I should be realistically saying that it's not easy to bring this to RAI. If RAI could be interested, then I think it should be the history department, RAI Storia. RAI Documentary, where I work, it's a department that co-produces, produces, and commissions documentaries for prime time and second prime time slots on the main channels. And I would definitely think that the relevance that our team would allocate to this topic would not allow for this kind of slots, which is unfortunately the case. But having said that, I'm available to talk to you, Stefano, if you like to, and we could maybe find together a way to bring it to RAI. Concerning the subject, I completely agree that I think it's very important that you make the character relevant in the way you describe him, his situation, and this moment in Albanian history, because of course it's completely unknown to everybody. I mean, for sure to me, and I guess to everybody in my team. And that makes it a problem. So it should be clear why the audience should look at him, and of course, and his story. And of course, the story is relevant in the sense that it deals with democracy and with the needs of certain basic elements to keep democracy alive, democracy against dictatorship, and all these kind of things. But currently, the focus in TV is of course in another country, in another direction, and that makes it not easy, I would say, to go to Albania. I also had to struggle a lot and didn't succeed to bring the Navalny film into RAI because there's no Italian reference. So maybe, yes, also let's look at if there's an Italian reference in the story, what that could be, and then I think look at the chances to bring it somewhere in Italy or somewhere in RAI.
Claudia.
Yeah, I think that's a bit the problem with an Albanian story, because at least in Western Europe we don't know anything about the country, and even less about its intellectuals. So it would really be good, but I'm not sure if it's possible, because Albania was such a closed country. If there were any relationships between Fatos and other intellectuals in Europe to get some connection and to interpel a larger audience, I think there you could look on and work on if there were some connections, or if there were in other countries human rights activists fighting for him, or something like this, to open the story up and to get some other protagonists in.
Peter, I would like to have your comments.
Two comments. First is, whenever we discuss films which deal with prominent characters like painters or writers or politicians, we always have to ask, will this be a classic film about someone, or will it be a film that gets a certain style through the filmmaker's style, you know? So is it just a classic film which gives you an overview about someone, a classic portrait, or Stefano, are you trying to do a film in a more personal way about someone with a certain filmic approach? And second remark is, as we know quite a few about the history and the culture of Albania, I would recommend, if you follow your idea, that you put him in the broader context of history and culture of Albania, to promise the audience that once they look at your film, focusing on that character, that they learn more about the country, which would then be relevant knowledge.
Thank you very much. Marco, I would like to have your view on the project.
It's there's a huge Albanian community in Greece. About 10% of the population in Greece is from Albanian origin. Most of them, of course, are not intellectuals. So it's, of course, difficult to make a portrait of a writer, especially when this writer is not well known. So you have to focus maybe on some element who can make us this personality interesting. And there are two elements. First could be his personal story of fighting, political fighting, and the other will be the his writing itself. Maybe it's something, I don't know the writer, but maybe it's something in his writing you can start from this. And I would, Claudia, advise you to ask Uri to say his point of view, because he has made a film like that he told us from a sentence.
Very good. Thank you very much. Uri, it's your turn.
Yeah, I find that if you, well, at least my advice would be that if you're going to make a film about a writer, it has to be in some way about his writing. I think otherwise, just as a political activist who's a writer who we don't understand, whose writing we don't understand, or ideas we don't get familiarized with, it makes some kind of sound which can be problematic. But I will admit that bringing across the essence of a writer is a huge challenge. But this is why it has to be truly a labor of love, if I can say that.
Thank you. Stefano, what do you feel? Is that enough advice for you to take the next step and go further with the development?
More than half of the film, the shooting of the films have been completed. And so what we are searching for is a help, a productive help, or a TV pre-requirement or a co-production, TV co-production to complete the post-production phase of the film. But what I want to clarify is that Fatos is known in Italy because he won in 2002 the Alberto Moravia Prize in Rome, which is a very important literary prize. And as regarding the role of the writings in the film will be very, very, very important, because Fatos has present to me one of his unedited writing, a very, very beautiful story, which is concerned with the story of the block, the place in which lived all the Politburo of the Communist Party in Tirana from the 50s to until the 90s. And this, through this narration, it's possible to relive all the story of Albania and all the story of the communist and post-communist regime. And it's very, very exciting. It's very, very beautiful.
Stefano, we invited the experts here to give you the chance to listen to them, representing their, country, their field of interest, their employer. And from what you say, I have the feeling that you already are on a road and you cannot change anymore. But you should think about that, because these panelists that answered you, these experts, you know, who are from our business, they gave you very, very valuable advice. Perhaps you might want to talk to the one or the other in order to intensify the discussion, which may be good for you and your project in order to sell it and make it visible, you know?
Yes.
Okay, we have to go on. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for presenting, and thank you for all your comments. We do have a German team, Jonas and Constanze, with their project Prison Honey. Makes very curious everybody of us. And Antigone from the jury, you wanted to comment on that and explain why the jury decided for this project.
Well, hello. Prison Honey impressed us because of 3 reasons. Firstly, because of the characters. The prisoners trained as beekeepers and the bees are the protagonists. We think it's amazing. Secondly, because of the environmental issues of the project. The interaction between the humans and the bees is useful for the prisoners, but what about the bees? Thirdly, we would really like to hear the sound of the bees and have a look at the society of both prisoners and bees. We are looking forward to watch the project on screen.
Thank you, Antigone. Okay. Do we, Stefanos, do we have some, because we hear the transmission to the marketplace, there is some noise in the background which is somehow disturbing. Perhaps you can take care of that and just put it a little bit low. Okay, now it's the time of Constanze and Jonas. Please start your pitch.
Hardness, narrowness, concrete loneliness. Even the last spark of empathy gets lost in such an environment. Our film Prison Honey observes how prisoners rediscover their lost humanity and empathy by interacting with bees. I'm Constanze Wolpers.
Hello, my name is Jonas Eisenschmidt. We both are co-writers, co-directors, and together we run the production company Rappa Films in Leipzig, in Germany. In a courtyard in a prison in northern Germany, serial killers are trained as beekeepers. It is a group of 10 inmates who meets once a week to beekeep in the courtyard of their prison. They are serious criminals, have committed several murders, and are sentenced to life in prison. Our film focuses on 2 of the prisoners and narrates their relationship with bees. Thus, the bees also become protagonists.
The inmates begin their training as tough guys, but even the toughest ones get emotional at the sight of a hatching little baby bee. The growing bond between the inmates and the bees seems to give greater meaning to the humans, but do the bees also benefit from this relationship? They face survival issues with changing seasons due to climate crisis and multiplying parasites. At the end of the weekly session, the prisoners have to return to their 10 square meter cell, and the bees fly away over the prison walls.
The film follows the inmates in their work during one bee year. The story begins in spring. The bees wake up from their winter rest and the inmates come out of their cells to the yard. There's a lot of skepticism, but the sweet sound of the bees buzzing carries on the breeze, makes the heated minds calm down. They're all facing a summer that will change them, but the beekeeper's year takes a break in winter time. And what does it mean with the loss of a ritual and a relationship that has become so important for the prisoners?
In winter, bees move closer together to keep warm to survive. But how will the prisoners get through the winter times? Prison Honey is a creative, observational, feature-length documentary in early steps of development, and we are searching for all kinds of partners and looking forward very much to hear your feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tijana.
Hi. Thank you. This sounds really like a very solid project. I must say I'm impressed with the topic, but also it reminds me of my favorite fact that I heard. There was a hunter has been sentenced to watch Disney's Bambi at least once a month after legally killing hundreds of deers. And I thought, what a sentence was that for such a crime? But then hearing that that this practice, because I always wondered personally, like what's happening, how they're spending their days, what they do in order to, to whatever, how to humanize this and to develop this empathy. So yeah, I found it very, very solid. I really liked your pitch as well. It's very well prepared. And I reckon this film could be a big festival title, but also it can find place at television, at TV broadcasters, but also what I'm wondering about is the structure. Also, how did you choose your characters? Do you have a main character visually? Because it also sounds very poetic to me, like from your pitch. I can imagine like bees, and also recalls the Honeyland. That was a big film recently. So yeah, I'm wondering about the structure and the execution and the style, better to say style of the film, because it could be maybe potentially theatrical title, depends at what festival you're gonna start. So Berlinale could be, because you're in Germany, could be a natural start for this national premiere, and after that I can imagine that you could get some good deals. Also having prison as a topic, and yeah, you have a really solid thing here to develop a big thing, maybe starting in Sundance in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. No, because the crime, I must say that working also at the moment with factual content, the crime is really big in every possible way. But as also we know, it could be really sometimes this white trash content that people just want to see sensations and no, that's such a nice thing. So I always find out when topic like that, which is quite big already, is brought in this stylistic and poetic and very meaningful way. Yeah, you can really find the audience, that there is an interest, and to make this film to maybe help somebody else. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Big hopes. Peter.
Thanks for the really professional pitch. I understood well that you talk about serial killers, right? Serial killers. Therefore, there's certainly a good reference to the United States, because the American culture is fascinated by this type of criminals. So you should perhaps, in the second step, explain a little bit more what kind of criminals you are there portraying in the film. But if this is then clarified, I think it's interesting. It's somehow bizarre and therefore also a very interesting topic. Perhaps our program slot 37 degrees, 37 Grad in Germany, which could be a good homeland for you. So therefore I would propose very concretely that we stay in contact and that you give us a depiction of your film. And if you then perhaps in a second way are preparing this as an international project, then you would have to shift to another style of the program with more statements and without commentary, without text, for example. So that could be at the end 2 different versions of one topic. But if you agree, we should stay in contact, okay?
Great, thank you, Pete. Dane, Canada is not the United States, but close. What would you say for the potential of this project and idea?
Well, it sounds like one of those films, like Tijana said, that would definitely make their routes on the festival and would become an audience favorite, and that would be great for the film and then great for the broadcast. I guess Canada is always kind of banally, in a very banal way, always looking for Canadian content. However, in the realm of co-productions, if you were interested in co-producing and doing your post-production in Canada in order to help your production value, I definitely can help you, put you within like a variety of contexts that would help you make this film with tax credits, even if there wasn't a Canadian broadcaster involved. I just wanted to say one question that I have, and that's the over-personification of animals in documentaries. I personally would be a little careful about that, just because I think Werner Herzog does it really well in Grizzly Man. I mean, but giving a voice to bees can be very tricky in my mind. So it's just something that I say as a filmmaker, to think about how you do that in a way that kind of doesn't assume that you're actually talking in the name of bees.
Claudia, thank you. Dane.
Yes, as a reaction, Tijana mentioned a lot of huge festival films with beekeepers in the last years, and all of these films, or a lot of these films, benefit from great protagonists. I'm sure that serial killers will also be great protagonists, but they also benefit by big nature. And as I understood, you will shoot in a high security prison. So visually, I wonder what this could be on the 4 seasons. Is there really a prison wall? Is a prison wall in summer, winter, and what do we see? What will be the feeling in the summer? What will be the feeling in the winter, and how will you structure the narrative arc for feature length? Because as if I understood, you will not do a TV hour, but really a feature length documentary, creative without commentary. So you have to work also with some visuals.
Thank you. And Marco.
Yes, it's a great pitch, a great idea. I wouldn't add anything more to what said the other experts. I've said a lot of things. I would just like to make a remark, because, you know, for the other participants, for the other pitchers, that in their 2 sentences, they have made a great work, because usually it's very important when you present a project to have a good log line, which means 1-2 sentences to tell your story. And for me, it's very important to have one liner who says the essence of your film. And you have in these 2, the first line you wrote, the first sentence, it's quite a good one.
Oh, Marco, you are frozen. Can you hear us?
Of humanity and your empathy.
Okay, the last words were not hearable because you were frozen, Marco. Okay, but thank you for your comment. Very helpful, very good. Yorgos from the University of Thessaloniki, what would you say about the potential of this project? Where is he? Stefanos, did he go away? No. Okay. Too bad. Veronica, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, thank you for sharing this story with us. And again, I will repeat that was very well prepared. Thank you very much. I have seen 2 documentaries about prisoners who were socializing through the usually through the dogs, and it's very nice to see other protagonists than dogs, like beekeepers or bees, and it's really great. Thank you for it. And you mentioned, Constance, that maybe sometimes the bees are not they have no big profit as the prisoners themselves. Would you maybe tell us a little bit more? How did you mean it? Because I felt intrigued. I felt I would like to get more information about that. And maybe just one other comment, that if you will be following the line through your films, which about the like environment stuff and how the bees are like saver of the planet life, as is mentioned on many levels nowadays, it can be also interesting, like as another layer of the film. Just it jumped into my mind. But I would love to hear more about the bee and what is the profit for them, if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Veronika. Constanze, Jonas, if you can put your answer, if you want, in 1 minute, or 2 minutes maximum, then it's your turn.
Jonas?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for this great feedback. I mean, really positive. Makes us happy. That is, yeah, because we are really in the earliest step, let's say, and of course now it's mostly about finding the characters and working on the axis, let's say. But thank you very much.
Okay, good. Thank you all. Okay. So now we already, we reached our last project. It's from Greece, Juliette, from John. John will present it. Are you ready, John? Yeah. Yeah, Yanis. Yes. I have
Yanis, John, whatever you like.
John, Joe, okay.
John is the
Giovanni.
John is the translation. Whatever.
Okay, so go
whatever
on.
you like.
It's your floor.
I answer to all these names.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So Juliette, it's also translation from the first name of my protagonist, Julieta, is the translation of Juliette. It's the main character of the film. He's a former world champion in judo, who she's forced to leave the national team through the violence of his coach, of her coach. He's a very independent character. He was a tomboy, and he's still not very feminine, so they never liked her, and they pushed her away. She managed to bring gold medals in international Grand Slams and bronze medal in World Championship, but they never. But the Greek committee didn't like her, so they pushed her away. She even faced physical violence and verbal violence. So she left the national team, and now she's live in Thessaloniki. She passed through depression, and now she's back in the track she's teaching judo in 2 clubs. She's living with her twin sister, and excuse me, I lost my words. His companion in the clubs is a former drug user who has a rehab through judo. Now they teach both of them in 2 clubs. So there are 3 characters in the film.
Yanis, can you give us a little bit about the story that you want to tell?
The story, it's about diversity, because Julieta, it's a very different person. She's a woman, but she's act like a man, and that is not very tolerated in the society. Also, she's not very obedient to the authority. And she paid the price. The story is about diversity and how this woman who faced violence and depression make through and begin her life again. Began her life again.
Okay.
And she finally is a judo teacher, and she's supporting her twin sister who she's studying at university.
Okay, it was a little bit hard to understand you, so I'm not sure whether everybody can get it.
Yeah, yes, I must apologize. I have written, I have my notes.
It's okay. It's okay. Yanis, be cool. Everything is fine. We try to find some advice to find some advice for you, which might help you. Is Yorgos with us from the Thessaloniki, from the University of Thessaloniki? Yorgos, are you with us still? No, I don't see him. Too bad. Sorry. Okay, so I would love to have Marcus, from what you understood of the story and the protagonist. Which advice would you give Yanis? No, in this case, Giovanni. Huh? If I take it Italian.
Yeah. Well, what I understood is that it's a story about a woman athlete. Which struggles against misconceptions of her gender role as well, and so it's about diversity. It's about sports. It's about high-level sports, and I think that's all interesting. To my experience, it's interesting mainly on a national level. We had a great film in Rai called Butterfly about a boxing woman. And the film follows her against all judgments against her, and she prepares her career, and we follow that, and that is very interesting. But it's also interesting because it's for an Italian audience in a way, and I guess for you very important is to get it into a Greek environment for a Greek audience, and eventually it can be interesting, of course, also internationally. But first of all, I think it's these kind of stories appeal to a national audience who know eventually the character, find out something they didn't know before about her, and follow her in her struggle. Because normally you see those people only when they fight in a match. or if they appear in the news because they won. So I think it's a little bit the advice I can give. So try to make it strong in your country, and then look at the international potential if there is some.
If there is, yeah. So this brings me to Marco. Sorry to come back to you, but can you give Yanis some advice?
Sure, this story will be a bit easier to sell in Greece and TV because it's quite well known, but we don't know, of course, we need to know more about it. What I would advise is to really think about not what is the story in the past, but what story the film will tell. We understand what the topics of the story, it's easy to understand, but what is the present of the story? He gave us some elements that she lives in this situation and blah, blah, but it's really important for all this kind of story in the past to find the present of the story. And a key thing, I think, it's the personal motivation of the director to tell this story. And because he will be asked why, in this period of Me Too and so on, we are asked to declare our position, especially when you are from another gender. But it's an interesting question to be, what is your personal motivation really to make this movie? And if you find an answer to that, I think you will find your story in the way to tell it. Because there's a question of ethics in every film, but especially in this kind of film, which about ethics, finally.
Thank you.
This will help, I think, to find an international interest of this story, because there are a lot of stories in the world that have been told a lot in this moment. And if you want to interest an international audience, tell the Greek context, the Greek specificity of this story. I think this will interest an international audience. How do the Greek society, the Greek people react to this kind of scandal and crime, let's say?
Did you understand that, Yanis?
Yes, I did.
So what is your motivation?
My motivation. First of all, I don't think that is only a Greek topic. I think it's an international topic. I don't think that in any country it's very acceptable for a woman to act like a man. And maybe in some countries it's more acceptable for women to have a strong position. In other countries is not the case. My motivation, when I heard for the first time for the physical abuse of her, I thought that I must make something not to be forgotten. And when I met her, I found out that there is more than that, and that's only the surface. And there is more underneath.
Yeah.
And
okay, thank you. Jean-Christophe wants to comment.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was a bit waiting for the topic of abuse, because I thought, for me, it was the strongest topic in what you wrote, but I didn't hear it when you pitched it, because actually, I think what Marco says is the one solution, or Markus Nickel and also Marco, to make it a Greek topic. But I'm very interested in getting the European level, and when you come to abuse, people know that there's systems of abuse and worlds of abuse that we know very well, like unfortunately in the religious area or in boarding schools, but in sports, it has been still very much of a taboo. and you have the chance because you have she was in European competitions. And I know that in Germany, just a few days ago, it came out that the swimming, in the swimming team, the German swimming team, unfortunately, there also has been a very long and a very silent tradition of abuse well, on a very high level. So I think if you look at your athlete on a European level and try to get 2 or 3 voices through people who have been competing with her or from other sport systems, you would have a very strong topic on a European level, which is still very, very silent in football and swimming, and looking at former athletes. I think this is, for me, it would be the biggest topic, and not so much strong women and the other aspects you said. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Christophe. This was very valuable. Anybody else wants to comment? Everything said? Okay. Yanis, Giovanni, Jean, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody being present here. It was so valuable to have you here today, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow. The jury, the panelists, thank you for your comments. I think you really gave good advice. And as I said in the beginning, this is a selection that represents ideas more than projects, but we have to help in order to raise new talents and give new talents new chances. So thank you very much for your patience, for your energy, your input, and your availability. And I hope also it was some kind of fun for you, okay? And I hope for the participants that they really got something from it and make the best out of it, okay? This is my only advice for you. So I wish you all a wonderful evening on marketplaces, restaurants, at home. And I'm looking very much forward to see you tomorrow again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank